Women have been overlooked for the majority of history. There have been times throughout history that women have been thought of as inferior to men. This is usually, and luckily, untrue. Women are just capable of leading, fighting, and doing whatever needs to be done. These are some of the strange but amazing female cartel bosses who did whatever needed to be done. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at the 7 most famous female cartel bosses. Yeah, you heard it right. Number 1. Sandra Avila Beltran. Called the Queen of the Pacific by the media, Sandra Avila Beltran is a leader of the Sinaloa drug cartel in Mexico. She was born into a family of cartel members, possibly 3rd generation, but was careful to never leave behind any evidence of her criminal activities. For years, Avila Beltran operated without drawing police attention, but in 2001, authorities seized a tuna boat carrying 9 tons of cocaine that was traced back to Sandra and her lover. A few months later, police suspicions were mounted when she reported that her teenage son was kidnapped for a $5 million ransom. He was eventually returned safely, but authorities continued to investigate Avila Beltran. She was convicted of money laundering in 2007 and spent about 7 years in prison. According to Tuscan.com, she charmed investigators into letting her apply makeup before police videotaped her transfer to a women's jail. Number 2. Enedina Arellano Felix. A distant relative of Sandra Avila Beltran, Enedina Arellano Felix is considered by the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, to be the world's first female drug lord. As a girl, Enedina wanted to become the queen of a carnival in Mazatlan, but because of her family's drug trafficking activities, those dreams were never realized. She began leading the Tijuana cartel after her brother, Eduardo Arellano Felix, was arrested in 2008. Previously, she worked for the cartel behind the scenes as a money launderer, which she had done to some degree since she graduated with a bachelor's degree in accounting from a private university in Guadalajara. Now known as the boss, the godmother, the narco mother, Enedina Arellano Felix has managed to survive the fall of her brothers and the widespread takedowns of cartel's bosses in Mexico. Number 3. Griselda Blanco. Colombian drug lord of the Medellin cartel, Griselda Blanco goes by many names: La Madrina, Black Widow, Cocaine Godmother, and Queen of Narco Trafficking from the 1970s to the early 2000s. Griselda was a pioneer in the Miami-based cocaine drug trade and criminal underworld, but she also transported narcotics to New York and Southern California. Over the course of her criminal career, it is estimated she was responsible for about 200 murders, and she started early. At just 11 years old, Blanco allegedly kidnapped and attempted to ransom a child from an upscale neighborhood in Colombia. When the child's parents did not take her seriously and refused to pay the ransom, Griselda shot the child. Thus, it's no surprise that Blanco's gangsters and their rivals had a violent way of conducting business. And that violence created an atmosphere of lawlessness, particularly in Miami, that broke out into a full-on drug war known as the Cocaine Cowboy Wars. Blanco's US distribution network brought in about $80 million per month. In 1985, she was arrested by DEA agents and sent to prison, though her incarceration did not stop Griselda from running her cocaine business. Still, almost 20 years later, she was released from prison and deported to Colombia, where she died in a drive-by shooting in 2012. But that's not all there is to Griselda Blanco's story. Check out our episode on the Cocaine Godmother. Number 4. Phoolan Devi. The bandit queen was born to a low-caste household in India in 1963 and married at age 11 for a cow. Phoolan Devi's husband abused her for years, and she failed to flee. When she was 16, her husband sent her home, making her a social outcast. Without alternative options, she joined mixed-caste dacoits and in 1979 and killed her violent husband. Phoolan repeatedly stabbed him after being pulled from his home. Her husband survived, but villagers shunned him out of terror. Phoolan's gang plundered upper-caste people, even kidnapped for ransom. Bandit tensions led to a gunfight. Higher caste Rajputs took Phoolan hostage to the Bemai village, where she was beaten and sexually abused. 3 weeks later, she escaped with 2 low-caste gang members and a peasant. Phoolan vowed vengeance. She organized her own caste-only group of bandits and returned to the village, but her rapists weren't there. Phoolan's group shot all 22 Rajput men present in frustration. When her gang ran into trouble in 1983, Phoolan arranged a surrender. Phoolan Devi waited 11 years for a never-held trial. All accusations were dropped after she was paroled in 1994. Phoolan practiced Buddhism and ran for office. The bandit queen served in parliament from 1996 to 1998 and 1999 to 2001, when she was killed in the Bemai tragedy. Number 5. Rosetta Cutolo. For a number of years, Rosetta Ice Cutolo was the de facto Camorra mob boss, as her brother, Rafael Cutolo, head of the Nueva Camorra Organizada, NCO, lived inside maximum security jails for psychiatric prisons since 1963. Although Raphael sent her instructions, Rosetta effectively ran the day-to-day operations of the mafia herself. She had a head for numbers and negotiated business deals with South American cocaine barons by herself. In the early 1980s, Rosetta ordered a hit on police headquarters, but ultimately failed to blow it up as intended. Not long after, a police raid on her stronghold sent Rosetta onto the lam. She escaped with the help of a local priest who hid her under a rug in a car and drove past police checkpoints. For the next 10 years, she was not seen in public. Instead, Rosetta directed mob affairs from a series of safe houses in different cities. After years of searching, the police finally found her hideout in 1993. Tired of living a fugitive life, Rosetta gave herself up without a fight. However, she claimed innocence at her trial, which was corroborated by her brother and other gang members. In the end, Rosetta Cutolo only served 5 years in prison. Number 6. Charmaine Roman. After arresting Charmaine Roman in 2013, Central Florida police learned that she was not just involved in a violent Jamaican marijuana trafficking ring. Charmaine was the kingpin. Prosecutors alleged that Roman laundered millions of dollars in drug money at the Wynn Casino in Las Vegas and through an inactive concert promotion company called Sure Thing Investments. Authorities seized 3,200 pounds of marijuana, guns, cars, and $200,000 in cash from her operation. Number 7. Jemeker Thompson. During the height of the 1980s crack epidemic, Jemeker Thompson, dubbed the Queenpin, rose to the top of the Los Angeles cocaine trade. In her youth, Jemeker was kicked out of her home and had to find a way to support herself. She struck a partnership with Anthony M. Daff Mosley, an older man who ran a lucrative cocaine trafficking business. They later married and had a son together. When Mosley was killed in a drive-by shooting, Thompson was devastated, but she persevered. In addition to expanding her cocaine trafficking business across the United States, she also invested in an LA-based hair business that sold products to celebrities. For a time, she dated a man nicknamed Cheese, but when they broke up, he ratted her out to authorities. Jemeker spent the next 2 years of her life on the run, but in 1993, her son's 6th grade graduation ceremony was set to take place. When she came home to support her son, police were waiting for Jemeker at the ceremony and arrested her. The Queenpin served time in a maximum security prison until 2005, but is now an evangelical minister at Second Chance Ministries in South Central Los Angeles. Her ministerial mission is to show others that they always have a second chance in life through God. And that's all for today's video. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section down below. I hope that you found this video interesting, and if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. See you in the following video with some more of the latest updates, and until then, stay tuned.